So I just want to talk to you guys in regard to the whole Muslim ban that's been going on, right? It's a big issue. I try not to involve myself in politics, at least not in these videos, but I think I'm someone who likes to talk about the community, and a lot of the things are concerning the community, and I think this concern the community, especially that a lot of people are affected by this. And I'm also somebody who has a big heart towards refugees and people who are struggling throughout the world and trying to find peace and refuge in other places of the world, right? There's a few months ago, I was spending my time in a refugee camp in France with, there was Somalian refugees or Iraqi refugees there. There was a lot of people that came from the countries that I guess fall under this Muslim ban, quote unquote. So if you don't know yet what is going on, so for those who live in America, the recent President Trump, passed a bill, I think it was on Friday, saying there were 7 countries that were chosen, that any refugees that were coming from that country, from that ban, would not be allowed entry into the United States, especially because they thought that those countries were hotbed for terrorists. So many of those countries were Muslim, well, predominantly Muslims, or at least countries that identify themselves as Muslim. So the ban was it was outrageous because a lot of people now who aren't Muslims and definitely aren't terrorists, but find themselves coming from those countries, find themselves some arrested, some put on hold at the airport. It just created a big old mess. Like it was like protests at JFK and many other airports where people that came from these different countries were not allowed to actually enter the US. And that created a lot of tension, even tensions on the religious front, because it became this thing of like, okay, well, if President Trump is pro-Christian, and so it's like a Christian versus Muslim thing, like there's a lot of people that talk even to businesses. They're saying, okay, well, Uber, boycott Uber because the CEO of Uber is one of the advisory board for the president, which I think is kind of stupid because he's on the economic advisory board of the president. Then we should boycott many other, CEOs, because like General Motors, Pepsi, and all the other CEOs of these companies are also advisors to the president, right? So let's always look at the fact as a whole and not just pick the point that we think are more ideal. But I first want to say that I'm always trying to be bipartisan when it comes to this. I'm not an individual who would like describe myself as someone who leans right or left. I think I'm always trying to see, okay, what is a righteous view, looking at the facts and then making the decision for myself. So I took time, looked at the fact, looked at both sides. What is this argument? Is this even a Muslim ban? Looked at the article itself, the law that was passed, and the reality is it's not a Muslim ban per se, right? Because they're not saying that any Muslims who come from this country is prohibited to come. Because also, if this was a Muslim ban on any entrance in America, many other countries would be on that list, right? That just makes sense. Like there'd be countries like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and many other countries that aren't listed on that, who are openly Muslim countries, who are predominantly Muslim country, would also have made the list than just 7 countries. I think it's just a cop-out way for us to maybe justify someone being Islamophobic or anything like that. And I don't want to take that lightly. So I wouldn't say that this is a Muslim ban, but I would definitely say that this is very discriminatory to many people who are coming to this different place. I feel like it was a decision that was taken with a lot of haste. It wasn't really thought through well, because if you just see the outcome and the backlash that we received, it could have been a little studied even more, give it time to mature a little bit. But as always, my response is always to pray. I'm remembered of what Paul, talking to Timothy, told Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. He tells Timothy, pray for your leaders, pray for anyone who's in authority, because by praying for them, you may live in peace. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that, along the lines of pray for them so that you may live a peaceful life. This is what Paul is telling Timothy. So I think it's also up for us, because we want to live a peaceful life, to pray for those who are in authority. Being an immigrant myself, coming from Africa, living in America for over a decade now, I understand the importance of finding a refuge, having a place that opens their arm to you. So my heart goes out to also those who might be in difficult situation. But I also, on the flip side, can understand some of the the feeling that a certain group of the population may have, that these individuals, because they come from groups where they have been hotbeds for terrorism or whatever the case may be, I can see why they will feel so apprehensive, or sometimes some have shown a lot of hatred, which I do not condone. I don't think we should be the type of people, especially as believers. And honestly, I can't justify why some Christians who say the things they say. Like I've read some comments that people say who describe themselves as Christians, that no, you should go and lock those people, never let them come in. I read a comment that said, well, you go back to this country and see how welcome you are. No, actually, if you go to this country, you'll see that you're actually much welcome. It's just this perception that we think that because we're an American, if I go to a country, I'm going to be hated. No, the world is actually nice. Travel. I've traveled enough for the world to let you know. People are always welcoming, always smiling. It's just sometimes politics and media are trying to paint this negative picture of the world. That was kind of like my point of view about this whole Muslim ban. I'm going to be praying that God really gives wisdom to our leaders. Hopefully something positive comes out of this, something changes. In the end, we find a solution that can bring really the population together, so we can move forward and tackle even other issues that can unite us and not just divide us. But that was everything for me. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Subscribe to the page if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember, you're God's very best.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I have no idea what that guy is riding in the sky, but there's a plane out there. Oh no, he's continuing to write. I think he's making an R.